Hello everyone, it is Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. Thank you for joining me for this week's Make It Monday. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and have been for about 9.5 years. And I'm so glad that you could join me tonight. I have a fabulous fun fold card that I want to share with you. And what I like about this fold is it's very simple. And depending on your choice of designer series paper, it can change the look of the card just that easily. So I've got a couple different examples. One is just a simple thank you card. I've got a masculine birthday card. I've made a wedding card. And then we're going to, I'm going to demonstrate for you on this video how to make it into a baby card. So very, very versatile. All it takes is some designer series paper and cardstock. There's not a lot of supplies. You can do with it what you want in terms of embellishment, but it's a fabulous fold and I want to share that with you. So let me go ahead and get started first by showing you my examples. Now this fold, I saw a card, I was scrolling through and I honestly don't remember if I was on Instagram or Facebook, and I saw a very similar card to this. Of course I didn't save it at the time that I saw it and I was not able to go back and find it, and so I've tweaked this to the best of my memory from what I saw in terms of what the fold was, and then I just kind of figured out how to make the cuts, and I'm going to show you that tonight. And then you guys can take off and start making your own card. Very, very fun, very, very easy. So let's go ahead and get started. So here's a sample. This is my thank you card. And this is using the hand-penned Petals designer series paper stamp set. And then these little flowers came from another stamp set, but I thought it made a great border that would show through. And I just inked these up using, I used Stays On ink because I did watercolor. I don't have all of these blends colors, so I chose to just use my water painter and the lid of my ink pad to color. And so that's how I got those. And this tone in here is actually Pool Party, but I used Mint Macron and it goes just fine. So just be aware of that. And this is just the front and back side of the same piece of paper. And it's just how I cut it that I was able to get that piece in there. So I do want to show you how to do that. Then the next card that I made, because I just thought this was so cool. What else can I do? Because this fold is quick, easy if you ever need a card. And look, I made it into a wedding card. And this is using the paper, it is the, here it is, the Simply Elegant Specialty Designer Series paper. So we've got lots of metallic papers and some very basic colors that go with it. And so what I did was use the basic gray theme, and then the back side of this has this dot pattern, and it's Love and Laughter Forever After. And the stamp set that I used happened to have this little set of dots that sort of kind of matched the dots that are in the designer series paper. And so I actually, with those, just used gold embossing powder, and that's how I got the dots for my border. And then I also embossed this greeting and put a little piece of the gold ribbon there. So just kind of a different thing, but a very fancy elegant wedding card using the same fold. And then the next card that I made, because I need some masculine birthday cards, is I used my favorite stamp set with the lighthouse on it. I'm afraid this one is going to be retiring. I don't know yet. I haven't seen the list, but we're coming up on the end of a catalog year, and I'm concerned I might lose my lighthouse. So I wanted to make sure I used it one more time. And this is from the Mini Messages stamp. And then on the inside, I just used the knotted rope stamped image. And away we go. It turned into a masculine card. So look how different these three cards are. Same fold. So let me show you how to make this fold. I am actually going to cut it in front of you on the video, simply because I want you to be able to see how this is done. So I've got my Stampin' cutter, trimmer. The first thing I'm going to do is cut my cardstock at 5.5 inches. And just remember, the dark blade is your cutter. The lighter colored one is the scorer. I'll set that aside. And then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4 because that's where we're going to have the fold on the card. And then the next score line that I'm going to make, this is kind of the tricky one because it's what gives us the diagonal fold. And so what you're going to do is line up your score line that you just made in that gutter. And then this corner is going to go right up to the edge. So you don't have to worry about any measuring. So again, you're going to have your score line at the 4 1/4 lined up in the little track on your trimmer. And then I am going to line up the corner right with the edge of my trimmer. And I'm just going to run my score blade. Make sure you're using your score blade right there. And so I think maybe you can kind of see it. And honestly, I'm using the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. If you have a slightly different trimmer, all you need to do is wherever you line things up, make sure that it's consistent when you cut your designer series paper too. And then you shouldn't have any problems with the sizing of things. It's just important that however you lay this out, you could even make this, you know, if you wanted a bigger triangle, you could change it up and just know where the two, you know, this corner is or something. So you can change the size easily, but for my purposes, I just bumped it up. So that's about 1.5 inches down. Okay, and then I'm taking my designer series paper, and this is the, it's the one with all the pansies in it. It is the Pansy Petals designer series paper. And I just love these little flowers in the gingham in the back that's in the fresh freesia color. So I'm going to cut this at 4 by 5 1/4. And then to get my angle, I am going to line up. So this is my square. I'm just going to rotate and have that corner in the gutter, just like I had with the cardstock when I cut it, and then line up the other corner right on the edge of my cutting trimmer. All right, and then the one thing that I found, and I tried changing the size of this paper and just really didn't get anywhere with it, is I do need to trim this piece down, otherwise it fills up the triangle that we made. And I wanted to have a little bit of a border. So all I did was take and line it up to the edge, and I just wanted it about 1/8 of an inch cut off. So I slid it down to there and made sure I had this edge right up to the edge so it kind of stayed straight. Hold it down so your paper doesn't shift, and just slice off that little bit of paper. I did try shortening my paper, and it didn't change how it worked, and so I found it just simpler for me to trim off after I cut it. Then you also will need a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white cardstock or very vanilla or some other light color that'll be on the inside of the card. And I'm going to start by stamping this first. So I need to get my piercing mat because I am going to be using a photopolymer stamp. And the other thing I want to get is just a little piece of scrap paper because I am going to be stamping off the edge. The stamp set that I'm using tonight is the All for Baby. You've seen me using this one before, and I'm using a couple of the images. I'm going to create the clothesline with clothespins for the inside. And then keep in mind that this also comes with the coordinating die set baby clothes dies. And there are clothespins that you could die cut out of here. I'm trying to, I don't want to assume everybody has a, the embossing machine. Sorry, my mouth is not working with my brain here. With the cut and emboss machine. And so I want to show you two different, that you can do it either with the dies or just simply by stamping. And so we're going to start with the clothesline, and I'm going to have that go, ooh, piece of paper there. I'm going to have that go just across the top of the card. A lot of my other ones I've stamped down the side too. I'm not going to do that with this one simply because the image I'm using isn't going to adapt itself very well to being going down the side too. It would look kind of silly, I think. So I'm just going to stamp my clothesline in my ink pad, and then make sure you put it the right way, because a clothesline is going to smile. It's not going to be frowning when you put it on your paper. And I'm just going to put it kind of right at the top. And there we go. Looks like I got a little bit on my piercing mat, but it will wipe off with a wet one or something like that when I am done here. Okay, so then the next thing that I want to do is get that inked one out of the way. I'm just going to take a little bit of crumb cake ink and stamp my clothespins in that. And you know, when I was thinking of this, I was actually going to put the clothespins going this way. That would be upside down. And your clothespins are probably going to be slid kind of down. So just think about what you're stamping before you start stamping. Then what I'm going to do to help me with spacing is I'm going to start stamping more in the center of my circle. Oh, look at what happened. I had ink in between. Nuts. All right, no big deal. Thank goodness we're given two sides of paper to work with, right? Okay, and I will this time be a little smarter and have a bigger piece of paper behind it. And let me grab my polished pink. And I know polished pink isn't a typical clothesline color, but it's for a baby, and so we're just going to have fun with it. White wouldn't show up if I did white. All right, there is that, and it is out of the way. And then I'm going to grab my Simply chamois and clean off the clothespins. And especially get that middle piece. And what I will probably do before I stamp is just dab right in the middle there. Although it looks like that time I got it. I'm just going to be a little gentler as I ink it up. All right, so now again I'm going to stamp my clothespins just starting in the center. Whenever I have to stamp multiple images like this, I find it easier to start in the center and then just work my way out. It'll give me more consistent stamping, spacing. It's not perfect, but you know what? It works. Okay, so there are my images. And again, I'm going to get my ink blocks out of the way. All right. And then I did go ahead and from this set, I pre-stamped the teddy bear. And then I did die cut a little heart. And somewhere I had a little bow that I think got kind of lost on my desk surface. So that's no fun. All right, not a problem. Here's what we're gonna do. We can do one of two things. We can stamp the little bow right on the teddy bear, or we can just simply put the heart there. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So there's my little bow that I could put on there, or I've got a teddy bear heart. The other thing that you could do is if you've got some basic white twine, which I also had a piece cut. Story of my life, guys. Stuff keeps getting lost on my desk. Anybody else have that issue? Anyhow, you could take a piece of white twine and just run it through your ink to get it to pick up the color and tie a string bow too if you wanted to. That would work as well. So those are just a couple different options for decorating, but we will go with what we've got here. So let me show you now how to, oh, and I also stamped my greeting ahead of time. I am using, from this stamp set, the Little Hands, Little Feet, Big Love. And I die cut that one out ahead of time. All right, so then we're going to take our cardstock, and you want to be sure that where you've scored that angle is going to be the front of your card. So fold it over at the 4 1/4 and take your bone folder and burnish the edge. And then you're going to take and fold down that triangle, all right? And again, you're going to just burnish it. And we will start assembling the card. So the first thing we're going to do is take our seal, and remember, light touch check mark. You don't need a lot. Make sure that one corner is covered. Pull the dog hair out. All right, and then just center this in your space. And then what I found worked best for me is I just ran my seal and adhered that down. And I did that before I attached my paper. It just worked better for me. And then you're going to take that paper that you've trimmed off, and you know it went this way when you trimmed it off. So you're going to flip it over, and that's how you're going to get the back side to fit in. So again, we're just going to take our seal, and you do want to make sure that you're getting that tip so it doesn't stick up. So I just kind of use my paper here because I'm going to be adhering it anyhow. And then I just kind of center it more on the edges and less on that tip, so that I've got a border showing through. Okay, and then we will open it up and adhere our clothesline, and that just gets centered on this piece. And so now it shows up just a little bit. And then to decorate this, we're going to add our teddy bear. And I can't decide if I think I'm going to go with the bow. I like that better. So to adhere this, I am going to grab my glue dots from somewhere. I really did try to clean my desk off before I got started here. Apparently I didn't do it well enough. Kind of the story of my life. Oh well, no problem, because I have more glue dots. Well, let me just grab them out. Somewhere I've got my roll. There it is. All right. So peel this back, and I'm just going to take my pick tool, and I'm going to put it, I think I'm going to put one in each loop so that it doesn't come loose or wiggle. And we'll adhere that to the bear's neck. Isn't that cute? And then I think I want the bear to be popped up on dimensionals, so I'm going to add a couple dimensionals. Get my glue dots out of the way. Ooh, that one got a little low, but I think we'll be okay. It's not going to show. And I'm going to put the bear facing this way down in the corner. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop this up on dimensionals. You see I had a little stamping issue with that too. It's a good thing we have two pieces of or two sides to our cardstock, because it allows us to easily correct things like that. I find, especially when I'm doing sentiments, if I don't get it straight or it's not a good image or whatever, that I end up having to do that. And then we'll just put that right up there. And then I've been using a lot of the rhinestones, but I thought pearls would look pretty on this just as a way to embellish them. And so I'm gonna peel off. And you know, the other end of your take your pick tool has this green putty stuff, and it does work for pulling off these things. I've seen some people be able to just grab it like that. It looks like that's going to work for me today. Okay, so I've just dressed it up with a few little pearls, and now we've got a baby card. So just that quick. You could add a little ribbon, but you know, with the bow on the bear, I don't think I'm going to do that. I was thinking about it, but I kind of like how it looks right now without that ribbon on there, so I am not going to do that. So now you've seen real quick how easy it is. And you know what? I've got this little heart here. Let's go ahead and use that on the inside of the card. It's cut. We might as well, right? So I'll take one more mini glue dot, put it right on the back. Or the other thing I could do, maybe I'll just put it right here. We'll put it away from the bear, since we're talking big love on the front there. There we go. All right, so how easy is that? And look at how different the cards end up looking just because you've used different paper. So masculine, thanks, baby card, wedding card, all using the same fold. I do want to give you one tip. If you're using paper that has a definite direction to it, like this one, I've already trimmed it down just a little bit here, but if I trim this and we go to put this piece here, which will be fine, and I flip this piece, it'll work with this pattern. But let's just say I wanted this to be my big piece. You need to cut actually two pieces then of your designer series paper, because this has a definite direction to it. So the first piece I'm going to cut with the blue side facing up. And I had to think about it for me. Actually, the first piece the first piece I cut has the blue side facing up, and that's going to give me this piece. And it's going to give me the trees. You know what? Just a minute. I'm talking too fast. No. All right. So the first piece that I trim is this piece, and it gives me this going in the right direction, and I can flip it around, and when I flip it down, I'll have this piece. But if I had this being my top direction, or the main part of my card, when I flipped it over, my trees were going to be upside down. And so what I needed to do is to trim this, and in order to get the trees going in the right direction, I have to flip-flop these two pieces with each other. Okay, so this one was originally here, this one was originally here, and as I go to make this card, I just confused myself. This one is probably not directional enough that it's going to make a difference. I had it so that you could see it, and now okay, no, I did switch them around. I did switch them around. Whew. All right, because here you can see. No, I didn't. All right, so you know what? When you're cutting something that's got an obvious direction to it, I'm going to see if I can find a paper that, oh, yep, this one will work just perfect. Okay, so here, let me just set this aside. I'm going to cut a piece, because I want you to see what I'm talking about. And we'll cut it at 4 inches by 5 1/4. And let's just say that this is what I want my base to be. And so this is going to be the piece on the flap. So when I put this here and I line it up just as I told you with the corner in the gutter, sometimes it's easier to show than to try to explain what I'm talking about. Okay. I've got it going like this. Okay, so my flowers are upside down. And that is not the look that we want because that looks silly, right? So what we're going to do is take another piece. Looks like I get to make more of these cards. We're going to go 4 by 5 1/4. But this time, because I want this piece to be in the right direction, I got to think this through. I actually am going to cut it from, if I do it from here to here, then I want it going like this, right? So I need to cut it on this side with the flowers upside down. I hope I did this right. Whew, I did. Okay, so you just have to think. That's the bottom line, is you just need to think of how you're attaching, or how you're going to be attaching and what direction you want your images to go if it's an obvious pattern. Some are not going to matter as much as my first example showed you, but you want your flowers, I mean, in this case, you really don't want them going upside down. So you may have to cut 2 pieces of designer series paper to get the triangles right. You could also make a template of this triangle piece and cut it, and then you're not wasting as much of your designer series paper. Or you could just simply be making 2 sets of cards when you're using your designer paper. So I apologize for that little confusion. But again, I hope that you find this card to be quick and easy to make and that you have fun. Would love to see what you guys create, so post in the comments. And if you know somebody else who you think might like this fold, please be sure to share it with them. And then don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for other videos. It's Carol's Creative Escape with Carol Garrison, just so that you can see how to make other cards from videos that I've made. And then the other heads up that I want to get you is it is Monday, March 20, let's see, today's the 20th. So it'll be March 21st. And we will be getting a new catalog, not until May. The new catalog will be coming out at the end, well, the beginning of May. And so there are some things that will be leaving. And as you know, one of the things that's leaving are in colors. And that would be the Cinnamon Cider, Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, Just Jade, and this gorgeous Misty Moonlight. So if you like any of those in colors, make sure that you take a few minutes and get your order in for ink pads, refills, paper, anything else that you want, because those will be going away when the new catalog comes out. Of course, we'll get 5 new colors, and so that's always fun too, but just beware that these sets of colors will be leaving. So thank you for joining me tonight, and I will see you next week. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.